The Nobodies podcast is filmed at the Garcia Center for the Arts in San Bernardino, California. We'd like to thank all the Inland Empire artists who have donated their art to be a part of this set. Also, special thanks to Apex Lighting and Grip. Thank you very much.
You're ready to go?
Yeah,
dude?
how
We're
you
getting it
feel?
started.
I feel
It feels
great.
nice.
Feeling a little nervous.
We're
feeling
finally
a little
here.
nervous. We're finally here, guys. How do you
Took
guys feel?
Who would have thought?
Doing pretty well, honestly. It's been a little over a month now, right?
Yes, since the beginning of the year, actually. So,
Sorry, I lost track of time, honestly.
it's fine. So I just want to welcome everybody to the Nobodies podcast, the podcast where artists and creatives can come together and discuss their work and their lives. So let's get
Heck
started.
yeah.
All right, my name's BTEX.
My name is Dre.
My name is Cameron. Nice
My
to meet
name
you guys.
is Ricky.
Well, it's interesting because the Nobody's podcast this is our first little podcast together.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little while to get it used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting
Um,
comfortable, getting
Yeah,
Find our flow.
getting comfortable to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, guys. This is intense.
Thank you for
Crazy
joining
that
us.
we all met through RCC too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Shout out to
it's
RCC.
super
Shout out to
weird. Yeah,
RCC.
because we all got into film in our own way,
Yeah.
and then we met in different times and stuff like that. So it's super interesting to how all this got started. I didn't even think I would be sitting here right now in this $1 million studio.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
all, and it's really all thanks to Baytex getting it all started and getting us all together.
Yeah, crazy.
Thanks to the
Yes.
team.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone coming
So
together.
much.
Like Dre, Alexa, Daniel helping build the walls. It's pretty insane
Yeah.
to think about.
I was gonna ask you, dude. I always wanted to ask you this. How do you feel it's you setting all this up? That's
Bro, I just
a
don't
lot of
think about
pressure,
it.
dude.
Man, why you just put the pressure on me? and
I know.
shit? I just like doing
What
it.
made you want to do it though? Get
I
everyone
mean-
together like this. It's fucking crazy.
Honestly, it's been something I've wanted to do for ever, to be honest. I the reason why it's called the Nobodies is because in high school, I had the idea of making some sort of show with me and my friends, but one thing that stopped me was one of my best friends at the time. He was like, "Who's gonna watch a show about some nobodies from Riverside and Moreno Valley?"
Mhm.
And then that's where the name comes from, the Nobodies. We are nobodies, but I feel there's a beauty to that. There's something there within nobodies from a random city.
Yeah, I can definitely see that because people always associate California with just LA.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about the IE area.
Mm.
And when I was over with high school, it was in high school I only know it was just me and then my buddy Abraham, who I used to do videos with, growing up. It was just me and him in the area. I didn't know anybody else. It was intense until when I finished high school, I wanted to move to LA. That was a dream. I wanted to get into USC.
Yeah.
That was my main goal. I was screw every other school. I applied to a bunch of other schools. I got accepted to them, but the fact that I got denied from USC, I was screw this.
That's a hit.
I'm
yeah.
I'm not going to any other school. So I denied all the other schools, and I was screw it. I'm just gonna go to community college, and then I went to community college, and then it was weird because the film program there was pretty intense too. I was
Yeah.
oh, this is cool, and
Yeah.
then I didn't know there's all these other people that wanted to do film as well, and it kind of hit me. I'm wow, maybe there is a really cool scene out here. Maybe maybe we
Yeah.
could do something really cool out here. So I'm glad I met all of you guys, and you guys
Yeah.
took me in. That's pretty sick.
So, Cameron, when did you actually start getting interest in film? Was it in high school, middle school, or did you just always know?
Well, it was weird because growing up, I always played baseball. I knew I wanted to be a baseball player. That was all I wanted to do. But when I was a kid, I would always play with my Star Wars action figures, and I would steal my mom's camera, and I would make stop motion videos with my mom's old camera, and then my Star Wars action figures. I would come up with these storylines and stuff like that.
Were you one of those YouTubers that did the stop action?
I never posted anything. I never yeah, I never posted anything like that though. But growing up, my dad and my mom, they were super movie buffs. And growing up, my dad would just constantly show me horror movies.
Mhm.
Pretty inappropriate for
Yeah.
a little kid watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre at a super young age.
Remake or original?
All of them. pretty
Oh,
much.
man.
But like I
Oh.
would be like a weird kid because like I would know who the director was. I would know who like the actors were.
Ooh.
I'd be like 10, dude. I'd be like, telling my other friends, and they wouldn't even care. Like, I would just be talking their ear off about like, oh yeah, so this director actually directed this movie right here. You know what I mean? And then like my friends would come over and they would look like all like my garage is like filled with like horror action figures and stuff like that. And
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
are these all yours? I'm like, I wish I can open them and play with them, but they're my dad's,
Dude,
Yeah.
that's so crazy
And
because
like, yeah. So
yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
so then it was middle school. We had a film project that we had to do for the school. We had to do like a film based on the Outsiders book.
Mhm.
And so me and Abraham made a video. Like I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was. And then me and his buddies made like a film together. And then like I was like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do. And then baseball fell out because I hated everybody on the baseball team at my high school.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, screw this. Like I hate all of you guys. Like I'm gonna do my own thing. So every day after school, we would go to Abraham's, and then it would just be the two of us, or like it'd be my other friend. So it'd be like a production of 3,
Mhm.
and we'd just be making like the dumbest like stuff ever. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we would make like the most like not even funny comedy skits. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like
I mean,
they're
that's
still up on
something-
YouTube now. Like you guys can
I've-
watch them, but like
I've seen them.
yeah,
That's
like
something
I
I'm
don't know.
extremely jealous of with you because
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, you had that group to do stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that
Yeah.
like now that's what I have. Like with school, especially like putting people together. Like honestly, that's how I met you with I think 38.
Yeah.
You
well,
and Ricky,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
well, kind of.
and then Drea met in the writing class.
Yeah, the writing class,
Yeah.
the director's art to filmmaking, or was it a separate?
No, I think it was just screenplay something.
I don't remember, but I
Yeah.
know it was a writing class.
It was a Scott, right?
Yeah, I know all the film classes were with Scott.
Yeah, that's not
Very
wrong.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Cameron in 38, but I didn't get to film anything that semester just because personal family stuff. But he was talking about baseball. I started off like my whole life I was playing sports. I really didn't do film till like my senior year of high school because I didn't have soccer anymore. I didn't get to play outside of school. I didn't get to practice, so I couldn't keep up with my skill. And I started my senior year. I was like, this is fun. I can do this as a hobby in college, take extra classes if I want to. Because I was like, I was big into politics. I was like, I want to go into politics and change something.
Oof.
But yeah, then I'm like, you know what? Fuck this.
Oof.
I'm depressed as hell doing this shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I was like, screw it. I'm gonna do film. And I've always liked writing. I specifically want to be a screenwriter.
Oof. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
I
Big oof. I'm
That's
taking
literally
my
the hardest thing to get into.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna make it till like my
It's-
40s.
I have a question about your screenwriting. So since you said that you wanted to be into politics, or like at least get into politics, but like you don't want to do that anymore. Like, is there like specific stories that you want to write about when it comes to screenwriting?
Honestly, I'm not sure how I am a political person, but I try not to make it overtly political in my scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I specifically want to write. I have a dream to write a Nightmare on Elm Street script, and then Cameron and I have a friend named Liam that wants to do the same thing. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like I'm gonna do it 1st.
Mhm. See, but that's like the cool thing with like horror, though, is like you can get like political if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like old zombie movies are like the most political things
Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
ever
right.
seen. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
can still do that. That's like
George Romero, right?
yeah. You can
Yeah,
get like
The
super
Godfather.
political if you want to. You know.
Yeah. And my thing is basically like just representation. Because I met someone that talked to me about representation and how it really matters to her. So I was like, okay, I want to incorporate that. And while I'm not very good with the language, I was like, I can at least get people of color and women into my films and incorporate that.
Mhm.
I mean, I've had 2 films that I've done where it was like lead women.
Mhm.
Never finished. Didn't finish the first one. Second one went to shit. So it was 3rd time's the charm, right?
It
Right.
happens all the time, dude.
Uh, And honestly, the fact is, I had Cameron for the first set as my AD, and he was like a huge help. I basically relied on him for like everything.
Right.
And I tried getting Baytex involved on the second one, but he was working the second for the last 2 days.
Yeah, that's when I first started like my G&E career. So it was just
Dude, I'm so like jealous of that. That's like
Yeah.
awesome that you
Yeah.
can do
See,
that.
the thing is that I'm really like, how do I say? I don't think a lot of people tell you this, but you are like really like amazing. You know what I mean? Like you do all this stuff. Like you tell me about like all these sets that you go on with like all these like pretty famous people or like the people that you work with. I'm like, damn, like, you know, people from our group are actually doing that. And like, you know, the fact that you're also created this like whole little group of us is just like, okay, like this guy's like some sort of doorway for us, some sort of like, you know, leader in a way. And that's like something that like I feel like people should see in you. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of want to tell people who are listening. You know what I mean?
That's I mean, it's weird saying a compliment. Like it's honestly just
Just take the compliment.
Is it just weird seeing a compliment from me?
it's just weird, just like in general, like because it doesn't really feel like, you know. So it's sometimes hard to appreciate like what's like going around me because I'm just like my mindset is just do what I can and do it like as best I can, and that's what's like kind of keep me going. And like for me, I'm all family based. Like everything for me is like finding people and taking care of people, and like they take care of me. Like luckily enough, I had like some good, really good like connections. Like I had my friend Nick and Sean who like brought me into like a random shop, and then from there that turned into like me having like a little G&E family, and like from there that blossomed into like working on real sets, knowing how it's actually like getting my ass kicked, but also like learning that I love this no matter what. Like even like those days where I worked like 15 hours or 16, like that's what I like strive to do with like my friends, like my family. Like I want to do that with like everyone here, and that's what I really like giving that like opportunity to give people like us something to do and something to like kind of like not it be a dream, but it be a reality.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, that like Dre said, man, we all like admire you for getting us all together. And I also want to shout out Dre. She's like
honestly,
organizes a lot of this stuff. She gets us all on track. She
shout
tells us
out
how
to
it
Dre.
is.
Big shout out, like
Big shout out.
for like
Shout out.
my dreams, like and everything that I've done. Like Dre's like been there throughout the whole time, holding it down, like making it kind of like I kind of just go off in tangents, and you kind of just help ground it into
Yeah.
like, all right, let's do this, and let's put roles, and let's do like let's actually do it.
I was talking to my cousin about this like last night. I forgot what it was about, but I told her, what did I say? Something along the lines of like, that you're doing something that I've always wanted to do, you know, sort of like, oh, do a collective. Because I listen to these artists and they're called DPR, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, these are like my favorite artists and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, there's like this whole collective of like, you know, they have cinematographers, like singers, and like, you know, basically what we're doing here. And then like when you brought up the whole idea to me, I was just like, hell yeah, I'm totally on board. So then when you brought up like the We're Building Through Art project, the interviews, and like nobody was really saying anything at first for like a cool couple months. And like once it started getting closer to the date, I was like, you know, I'm gonna hop on board. Like this is my community. Like I'll probably, you know, I want to be part of it. And then I mean, I think from there, that's when the ball started getting rolling for at least Future First, and then everybody started like hopping on. And then at least for me, like this whole like film thing, I wasn't planning on like being a whole like filmmaker from like the get-go. I'll be honest. I'm completely honest. Like, I mean, I wanted to be an artist. Like that was like my whole, like, I mean, my title from I guess like third grade ish. I wanted to be a visual development artist for animations because I really like doing illustration and stuff like that. And then it just like, you know, middle school, high school, it just kind of fell off because I started taking a bunch of like different art classes, like fashion textiles. I took theater classes, I took drama and stuff like that. That's how I got into the improv class we were talking about earlier. And then a friend of mine, her name is Sam. She just kind of she's like dragged me to like all these film classes during my senior year. I'm really grateful for that because I was like, damn, like this is like film is like something, there's always something to do, you know? And then like me as an artist, like a drawer or whatever, we get through like these creative blocks, you know, like story writing and stuff like that. But like with film, like if you hit that block, you know, you can find something else that you can work on set with.
Yeah,
You
like
know, and
pre-production.
that's what I thought was really cool.
Mhm.
And I was just like, okay, dope. Like I'll get into that. And then, you know, got into RCC, started working with everybody else. I'm like, I think I'm gonna stay here in this career. I really like it. And
Nice.
then, you know, eventually I started getting back into the illustration and the visual
Yeah, your
development
comic
stuff.
book.
Yes,
That's
the
super
comic
cool.
book.
That's what's
That
cool
would be
though. I
cool.
feel like with you, I said poetry, politics and screenwriting, that kind of goes hand in hand.
does.
Illustration and filmmaking kind of go like hand in hand.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's super sick.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool.
Man, you guys are multi-talented
Yeah.
over here. I have
It's
nothing.
Oh, you do have something. Oh
Sir,
my
you make
goodness.
music.
Yes.
Crazy because I
My
look at all
goodness.
you guys and all the guys in behind the scenes right now. Like you guys have always been artists your whole lives, and like
Mm.
I feel like I've come in a little late into my own. Like for example, my mom always said when we were younger that my sister was the artist, and my brother and I were just not as interested in it. But like I've always been a writer. My brother loves to draw.
Yeah.
Like we eventually started growing into our own later on in life. Like my brother wants to go into animation. I want to be a writer director, and it's just super funny that like it came out that way.
Yeah.
And you know, I wanted to be a soccer player for the longest time. Wanted to go overseas, get camps, but I could never afford that as a kid because a family of 5, everyone had to get their fair share. But like with every sport, it's about being a team, and I really found that with film.
Yeah.
And one of the things I didn't like about like sports is it was really hard to find your voice
Yeah.
in that team because everyone wanted to be that leader.
Yeah.
But in film, you have to have a voice.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with speaking up. And when I first started, like I think Cameron kind of knew I was really scared to just
Yeah.
talk, and like I was like I didn't have any confidence in myself, but like in every other aspect of my life I thought I was a lot better than I was. Like in soccer I was like I can kill this shit.
Yeah.
In politics I can kill this shit. In school if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
But I hated school too.
I think just finding that familiarity with like what you're doing. Like you knew soccer. Like that's something to fight for. That's something that, you know, it's physical. You're like, all right, I need to be faster, stronger, better. But with art, it's like it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more like vulnerable. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to get to that point with art. Like
Yeah. And I think that's like that vulnerability is kind of what makes an artist.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the way I see it. I know a lot of people are really scared about being vulnerable because, you know, you're basically
It's terrifying.
it is terrifying because you're being judged. You're being judged about who it is that you are. But I don't know, that's like my whole thing. I don't know, like
Yeah,
I
I
feel
totally
like when
get
I talk
you.
to you guys, I like always tell like a different story about
Yeah.
myself.
It's scary. Like even if like back in the day, because me and my buddy Abraham, you know, we would pitch ideas to, because we would do sketches every week. It would be like almost like Saturday Night Live, where we would do like
Yeah.
it would be every day, and then we would film it, and then the next day it would have to come out. But like we would pitch ideas, and like, you know, like I'm super shy. Like if I don't know you, I probably won't talk to you because I can't. It was weird because like, you know, growing up, like when I told my mom I want to be a director, she's like, how you don't even talk? Like how you gonna like how you gonna make connections with people? Like,
Mhm.
you know, I still struggle with that today. Like, you know, on set, like this guy will like make connections with everybody on set.
Right.
I can't do that. That's not me. Like I don't know how I'm here right now. I'm like
Dude.
talking in front of the camera. Like this is like crazy. Like, you know, in high school I'd shake giving presentations. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
fuck, I fucking hate this.
Dude,
Like,
that's
but like, you know, when as a like, you know, director, when you have to like 30 people are coming up to you, you have to have 30 different answers
Mhm.
at the same time. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in my element right there.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I love it.
You're
Like,
in your
it's sick.
zone.
Yeah, I'm like in the zone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah,
But
Baytex can just talk to anyone in film. Like outside of film, I feel like I can do the same thing. I talk to so many people, but then once I'm in film, I'm just like, it's weird. Like if I feel like you're more experienced than me and like you're doing a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, like heck, like talking to Sean, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, dude, this guy's working. This
Yeah.
guy's doing a lot.
Yeah, but going back to the vulnerability part is like, yeah, pitching ideas. Oh, that's terrifying. Then you getting shut down, like, oh, that idea is not good. Like,
Even creating
But, like,
ideas, like
that's like the cool thing with like it's really not like that. That's just in your head. Like
Yeah.
I feel
Mhm.
like most people listen to your idea. Like they'll just
Yeah.
try to help you and make a better idea out of what you came out of. Like
Right.
so that's something I had to accept. But like yeah, well it's super vulnerable being in like
It's a big
the
leap of
art.
faith.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah,
a leap of faith for every
It's scary.
project, every like role you're in, like,
Mhm.
and that's one thing with like kind of, unfortunately, like that's why I feel like I have a strong suit in like knowing how to fail and like being okay with failing, like with a lot of things, and that's just it, like learning how to fall and learning how to like learn from it, and also just sticking to your guns.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah.
You
I
know what I mean? We
remember-
failed so
Shout
many
out to
times.
failure.
We
lot
failed
of-
so many times.
Like
I
the thing-
remember. Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
The thing I get really embarrassed about is like when people bring up like your very first project that you've ever done.
Oh yeah.
And then you're just like, oh,
No.
like,
Yeah.
and they're like, let me
High
watch it. I'm
school.
like, please
Yeah,
don't.
it's
Like,
funny because this is a side tangent, but like you know, back to the first project, like me and Abraham, because we cleaned up our channel, we like deleted a bunch of videos, but we
Yeah.
decided to keep our first ever video
That's
so
cool.
that you can see like
Yeah.
where we
Yeah.
started and then where we're at now. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of cool.
It's
Yeah.
cool, but it's
But,
also
yeah.
like, oh, like very cringy.
Yeah, totally get that. I remember going back on vulnerability again. I remember pitching my first script in Bud's class. I was terrified. I'd never done something like that before because this is like it was personal to me. It was like I had friends related to the incident in the script, and I remember one person got offended,
Yeah.
and I was like, I felt
Mm.
so bad. Do you
I
remember
think
that?
I was
I remember
there.
you.
I remember
I
this.
remember that like very vividly because I remember hearing your script, like knowing what you're going for, but I like heard the whole room kind of like it hit them wrong. Like I was like, I know what you're going for, but just to like, it's
But luckily there was like a few people who
Yeah.
like supported me, and
Yeah.
I still wanted. I was like, I still wanted to do it, and then I was like, damn, maybe I just need a few people. Like I
Yeah.
think that's how I met Cameron. That's how I met. I think his name was Andrew. He wanted
Mhm.
to
Santana.
DP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he-
Andrew Santana. He wanted to DP my film, but then I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But met Liam that way
Yeah.
too. Just that was I was like, hey, if I can find a
Big shout out.
just like
Yeah, big shout I mean, that's pretty like for you to go out there with such a strong script and such a like, that's a very bold idea. And like
it
you
wasn't
said
a
it.
strong script. It was just a strong idea.
That's why like it was a very like, like heavy-handed script.
Mhm.
Like it was very like it was hitting something that was very real and something that like traumatic happened to like someone you know. Like back to where art's vulnerable. You were going for that, and that's like the one thing where it leads you to making better art. Like you're already there, like approaching and attacking what you really want to make. You're not like kind of like half-assing it or like doing an easy script like some people do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what this podcast is about too, dude. The nobodies, like you're hearing a bunch of nobodies
Yeah.
be vulnerable in front of a camera.
We're all
like,
just gonna
Right.
cry.
you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like
I'll
what,
cry.
Eventually.
what is this therapy?
Oh no.
Get me out of here. Just kidding. But yeah,
Hope so.
that's sick, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like whole vulnerability is just something that I really want to be able to bring out in this podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for those that are watching and not necessarily listening, we did ask artists to basically turn in some artwork that we can, hang up in our little setup. And, we have different artists from like photographers to I don't know,
Painters.
illustrators, painters, oil painters and stuff like that, printmakers, just a bunch of different stuff. Oh, and a few authors as well. But I think it's really great, that they were willing to do so and
Yeah.
be able to just put themselves out there. And that's another thing that we also want to do, just to be able to be a sort of vessel for artists that's, to make a nobody a somebody
Yeah.
Mhm.
eventually, and that's something that, I told a family member yesterday, or a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm gonna get an Oscar someday. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be right now, I'm gonna win an Oscar. And I
Do you
told
find-
them yesterday as well, because I saw them. I was like, remember, and I told them like what we're doing, because I haven't seen them in a cool minute. I was like, remember when I told you I'm gonna get an Oscar? I was like, this is a start. This is a start.
Yeah. That's
Do you-
actually.
I was
Cool
gonna say,
question to
I was,
ask.
oh, were you-
Oh,
I was just gonna say, do you find yourself in the mirror like giving Oscar speeches?
Has
Oscar
it, you're
speeches. Oh
Yeah,
my god, I
do
can
you
probably
practice your
do one
Oscar
right now.
speech?
Oh my
It-
god, I would just love to thank everybody who helped me start from the very beginning.
Shout out to Big
Yeah,
Tex.
I'm gonna switch up on everybody once I'm playing.
Oh my
Once I get
gosh.
famous, I'm forgetting all of you. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
what's the guy? The
What's-
one with the shark teeth. What's that blow up? I'm like, I don't know nobody.
Oh my god.
I mean, like if you can win like any award, like
Mhm.
from any like Tony, SAG, Oscar, what would you want to be win for? Like for me, I would love to win best screenplay.
Man.
I
I think that's something that a lot of people want to.
yeah.
That's like the
Like-
hardest one. too.
That is
Yeah,
honestly
it is,
one of the
it
hardest
is the
ones.
hardest one, but I feel like I can eventually do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be cocky or anything. It's just like I'm gonna work hard to do it.
Yeah.
Like people want to get best director or like best cinematography, but
big
best
names, yeah.
screenplay, I feel like that's the best story out there
Mhm.
Yeah.
at that moment, and I feel like it's just crazy to me. Like that's something I'm gonna dream of,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna win. I'm gonna shout out Baytex. I'm gonna shout out Cameron. I'm gonna shout out
Yeah.
Hannah.
Shout out to boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would you guys want to win for?
I don't know. I'm like the opposite actually. Not that there's anything wrong with like
Mhm.
awards. Like, I just want to go to like a
Festivals?
convention. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
like just
Answer
like
random people's
hang out with
questions.
fans, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Like have like
Yeah.
a community and shit. Like that's
I like
that's
that.
like that's what I want. Like, I just want
Celebrate your art.
not celebrate my art, but celebrate like everybody who's a
Yeah.
fan of
Just a fan
me.
base.
Just a fan base, yeah.
yeah,
Like
just to
it's
be
not
able
even
to
doesn't have to be about me, It has to be like
about the story itself, about the
or yeah, like a horror there's a horror convention called Monster Palooza,
Mm,
Oh yeah.
and like I don't know, it's just it'd be cool hanging out with those people and like
right.
be like, oh, Cameron, what do you like what got you into this? And I'd be like, oh, I would point them to these films,
Yeah.
oh, I've
Yeah.
never heard of that film before. I'm like, oh my god, you gotta watch it, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
just stuff like that. I feel like
Mm.
that connection's like more important than
yeah,
I-
just the
award. And I also feel like the stuff that I would make would never get like
An award or
award
anything.
for like
Yeah.
an Oscar.
Yeah, because
like,
is it genre or is it
like I don't know. I don't want to make superhero movies. You know what I mean?
Dark
You're a
Knight?
fan of Sam Raimi, like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I love like Sam Raimi, Edgar Wright. Like
Yeah.
the only one who's gotten an Oscar is like Taika Waititi. Like
Yeah.
he got that for Jojo Rabbit. Like
Yeah.
it's like probably like the closest thing like I would make something like that. You know what I mean?
What Baytex, what type of movies like got you inspired to like get into film? Like what movies inspired you?
honestly, like I think the only thing I could really point to is like not one specific movie, but like watching movies with my grandpa, like as a kid, he would always ask me like, all right, who's the hero? Why? Like, oh, he would do that for everything. Like I'd watch Power Rangers. He's like, why are they fighting like that guy? And I have to like break down the story. And that made me just think about like stories in general. I'm like, there's a whole like army of people making a show about random people in suits beating up Goombas.
Oh my
And I'm like,
God.
that's such a fun and like there's stories, there's lessons, there's morals in there. Like
Yeah.
even like it's like the goofiest things, like there's still a story being told. And that's like the one thing that's always been like inspiring to me.
Yeah. What about you, Dre?
Oh, for me, I don't know. I just like watching movies. That's the thing. Like I don't know. I mean, from what we did, like the polls on Instagram, like my favorite movie is Anastasia, but just because I like the character herself. Um,
Totally get that. It's weird. Like I can actually point to like two films that like I liked horror movies. I loved horror movies from like since I was like 12 years old, but the two films that I got really into, one's pretty pretentious, but the other one's like based on a true story, was The Theory of Everything about Stephen Hawking, and then the other one's Birdman. Like I remember watching Birdman, I was like,
Ooh,
this is
so good.
yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like it looks like a wonder. Michael Keaton's performance just really got to me, and like the whole idea, like the critic scene. If you guys know that
Yeah.
scene where he's like, you're not talking about structure, you're not talking about the performances, you're just making comparisons, and it really spoke to me. I was like, damn, like I want to like watch movies like this more often and like make movies like this. And I guess that's what really inspired me. Like I can actually point to those two movies. With horror, I loved Nightmare on Elm Street and all that, but like it never inspired me as much as watching those two movies. I
Mm.
still don't own them, which makes me
Mm.
sad.
Damn, shout out Alejandro Inarritu. Is that how you say his name?
Alejandro
Yes.
Iñárritu.
Yeah, so
Yes.
good. He's so good.
Yeah, need to watch more of his movies. To be honest, I've
You
only
seen
seen.
Revenant?
I've seen Revenant.
Okay.
Yeah,
What? I think those are the only two movies I've seen from him too. but
yeah. He's got a couple more, I think.
I gotta watch them.
I think the same thing with me and like Whiplash. Like
Oh yeah, most
dude.
definitely.
I love that movie. Seeing like for me, like seeing
So much
characters
anxiety.
break.
Yeah.
Like I love that, and like breaking for their passion is something that I kind of like. I can really have a connection to because I feel like that where it's like I'll break myself for this dream. Like I don't really like
Yeah,
know
dude.
my limits. Where
Dude, that was me
sometimes-
with soccer. I remember when I couldn't play club anymore. I would practice like almost every day. And honestly, that it's just crazy where we all came from and
Yeah.
how we're doing. And honestly, doing this podcast is gonna be fun. We're gonna bring in so many people.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's what I'm very excited about. I'm very excited about the artists that we can bring together with
Yeah.
our, you know,
And this is just the
power.
start. And that's like the craziest part is that I always think about it like we're just starting.
Yeah, we're just starting.
Sheesh. But
Oh my god. I think ever since I've met you, I've started saying that.
I'm sorry.
All right, guys.
It's okay.
I
but
think we should
thank
wrap
you for
it up.
joining us on
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
first episode. If you guys are still
Yeah.
watching it.
Thank you
Still
guys.
listening?
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the Nobodies podcast, and that's the end of the first episode.
Thank you guys.
We out.
Bye.